Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about the grieving process. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about what I experienced personally going through the grieving process. I'm going to talk about some things that can help. I'm going to talk about what some people go through. I'm pretty much just going to go over the whole thing. Alright, so to keep this short and sweet, let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, so first I want to start off by saying that everybody's grieving process is different. No one grieving process is the same. We all lose that loved one in different ways. So it could be sudden, it could be prolonged, as in they had an illness or cancer or a disease or something that prolonged the grieving process. Personally, my mom died suddenly. I am still going to be doing a video on how she died, so just hang tight for that one, guys. That is going to be a little bit harder of a video for me, so I kind of honestly have been putting it off a little bit, but I will go ahead and make that video for you guys so that when I do make references to that morning or whatever, you guys kind of have a clue about what I'm talking about or referring to. Again, everybody's grieving process is different. There is no grieving process that is the same. There's no right way to grieve. There's no wrong way to grieve. There's no grieving process order that is correct or wrong. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the different stages of the grieving process. Again, there's no specific order on how the grieving process works. You can start at stage 1 and then you can go to stage 5 and then 3 and then 2 and then 4 and then back to 1 and then maybe there's a 6th one for you. You know, it's a whole realm of possibilities that nobody knows. It's different for everybody, like I said. So the first stage I'm going to talk about, which is typically the first stage that people go through, is denial. So in this stage, again, it typically starts right when the person passes away. So typically the person does not want to believe that their loved one has passed away. They don't believe it. No matter how many times they're told, it just doesn't seem real. In this stage, there's a lot of feelings of shock and numbness. So I have a little story to go along with this stage. The morning that my mom passed away, we were still in the hospital and we were there for about 4 to 5 hours the morning that she passed away. But when we were there, and probably about an hour or two after we were told that she had passed, I went into the hallway and I basically forced myself to cry because I felt horrible. I was like, why am I not crying? My mom just died and I can't cry. I feel nothing. And so that was basically me being numb. And I forced myself to cry because I felt like a jerk not crying when my mother just died. And all these people around me are crying and are in tears and bawling their eyes out. And I'm just standing there like, well, this is cool. Like, I just didn't feel anything. I was completely and utterly numb. There was no feeling whatsoever, no emotion, no nothing. I was just blank-faced. So again, that numbness caused me to force myself to cry because I feel like I needed to. And now I know that nobody would have judged me for not crying because it literally just happened like 2 or 3 hours before. So you know, nobody expected me to cry. Everybody's reactions to a loved one's death are different, but in the moment, I felt that I needed to cry because I felt like a jerk, like I said, because I wasn't crying. My mom just died and I wasn't crying. I didn't feel anything. Alright, so the second stage is anger. So in this stage, typically reality sets in, frustration, you can feel helpless, anger, you have so much anger built up because of everything that has happened. Like I said, you feel frustrated and helpless. In this stage, this anger can be directed at really anybody. So it can be directed at your loved ones that are still alive. It can be directed at the loved one that passed away. It can be directed at higher powers, you know, whatever you believe in or don't believe in, or just life in general, or even inanimate objects. So for this stage, really the only story I guess you could say that I have for this stage is that there was a period of time that I was very angry with my mom for leaving me. And I was angry for some time. And don't get me wrong, I mean, again, nobody grieves the same way. I've gone through the angry stage probably 4 to 5 times, and my mom passed away 4 years ago. So you definitely go through each stage multiple different times, and some of the stages you might not go through at all. It's completely specific to your circumstances, but I've definitely been angry at my mom many of times for leaving me, just for all the different things. Not that she's not going to be here for my wedding, my children being born, just all sorts of different things that I was definitely angry about. And it takes time to get through. It takes time to, accept that it wasn't necessarily her fault and it wasn't anybody's fault. So the third stage typically is bargaining. So in this stage, typically you dwell on what could have been, so the what ifs and the if onlys. I definitely went through this stage quite a bit. I went through this stage pretty soon after my mom passed away, probably about 3 weeks after my mom passed away. I went through this stage, and I basically just, what if I did this? What if I did this? If only I wasn't so mean to her. If only I didn't stress her out. If only I was a better daughter. If only this, that, or the other thing, And you eventually realize that doing that is not helping you. It's hurting you. And it's not helping you grieve in a healthy way. Again, I went through this stage a couple different times. I mean, I still do get down on myself sometimes. And I'll be able to talk about that a little bit more in the video that I talk about what happened that morning. You guys might understand a little bit more about why I may have said those things like, what if I did this? What if I did this instead? What if I could have done this? And, so I'll be able to explain that a little bit better in that video. So typically the fourth stage is depression. So this was my video last Wednesday. I will link it down below for you guys so that if you haven't seen it already, you can go and watch that. So this stage, I have definitely been through a lot. In this stage, basically, it's depression, it's intense sadness. You're just always sad, you can't sleep, you don't really feel like eating, or you feel like eating everything in the entire world. I guess this stage kind of depends on the person as well. And the final stage typically is acceptance. So although you're still sad and you're still grieving, and you're going to grieve for a really, really, really long time, this is typically the stage that you accept that this is your new reality. This is the new world that you live in, and this is now how your everyday life is going to be. So again, in this stage, you finally kind of get the idea that you need to start moving forward with your life, that things have to keep going even though your world has stopped. And this is typically the stage where you get back into an everyday routine, where you start to socialize a little bit again. This is typically the stage where you can finally talk about the death a little bit more with people. If they ask you questions, you don't brush the questions off. You can finally actually answer them for people. So again, all these stages are what typically you go through in the grieving process. But again, I'm going to say this a million times in this video, and I apologize. No grieving process is the same. No grieving process is normal. No order is correct or wrong or whatever you want to call it. Every single grieving process is different. Everybody goes through it differently. Everybody, can go through one stage 3 times, can go through one stage 1 time, can go through one stage 100 times, Some people could even skip stages. It's completely specific to your loss. So I am typically pretty private on my specific grieving process, but again, the journey that I'm taking with this YouTube channel is that I am sharing things with you guys so that I can hopefully help a few people. And if I can help a few people with their grieving process, it would mean everything to me. So again, I'm typically pretty private with how I've gone through my grieving process, but I'm trying to open up a little bit and share things with you guys. So some tips that I have for you guys to help you go through the grieving process are to make sure that you get yourself back into an everyday routine as soon as possible. So again, I'll talk about this when I do the video on what happened to my mom, but I went back to school 8 days after my mom passed away. I know it's crazy, but I needed to get back into that everyday routine, because if I didn't, I would have just wallowed in sadness and I never would have been able to get to where I am today. And I thank my dad for that, because he kind of nicely told me, take your time, but don't. He basically told me, you need to get back to school, you need to get back into an everyday routine, because if you don't, you're never going to be able to keep going. You're just gonna turn into a depressed ball of sadness, and you're not going to be able to keep moving forward and keep putting one foot in front of the other every single day. Spending time with family and friends really helps as well. It kind of keeps your mind distracted a little bit. And I'm not saying that that's a good thing necessarily. You don't want to distract yourself from feeling sadness. You don't want to distract yourself from the grieving process. But keeping your mind off of the sadness for a few hours out of the day can really help. It can really help you just get through it and keep moving, and like I said, keep putting one foot in front of the other. And make sure that you are practicing good self-care. So make sure that you're getting enough sleep, you're eating well. If you typically exercise, keep exercising. Keep doing the things that you did every single day, because again, you really, really, really need to get back to that every single day routine. Otherwise, you're just gonna turn into that wallowing ball of sadness. So try to get back to whatever you were doing before. As hard as it may seem, try it. It really does help. My next tip is to always try to look on the bright side or find that silver lining. And I know that kind of sounds weird, because there's not really a silver lining when a loved one dies, but try to find one. I mean, even if it's just as simple as, I got to have this person in my life for X amount of years, or I wouldn't be the person I am today without them teaching me, mentoring me, being with me, whatever it may be. For me, my silver lining is losing my mom has caused me to be such a better person. I'm nicer to people. I help as many people as I can now. And I wasn't like that before I lost my mom. I was a little bit selfish and kind of only really cared about myself. I held grudges and things like that. I tend not to hold grudges anymore because it's not worth it. I tend not to get as mad as easy because, again, it's not worth it. I am also a lot stronger of a person. The 15-year-old girl that still had her mom would never have thought that I would have been able to overcome as many things as I have today, because I wasn't a strong person when my mom was still here. And that's all, like, it sounds horrible coming out of my mouth, but it really is true. I was not a strong person before my mom passed away. I've really overcome so many things, and her passing away has caused me to be so strong, not only for myself, but for other people. Also, my anxiety has come such a long way since I lost my mom. I have learned how to cope with it more. I've become so much better at managing my anxiety and getting through it, because I didn't have that security blanket that I used to have. I didn't have somebody to fall back on. I only have myself to fall back on now. I mean, I have Kyle, my dad, my brothers, my family, my friends, but that security blanket, again, was taken away from me. So I really only have myself to fall back on when the anxiety comes, because I don't know a lot of people that have anxiety as bad as I do, have gone through anxiety the way I have. And I mean, my mom really understood it from a personal standpoint, and when that was taken away from me, I truly learned how to figure things out for myself with my anxiety, and I learned how to get through it using myself as my backbone, if that makes sense. So I've definitely, like I said, I've found a couple of silver linings or bright sides to my mom passing away, and again, I know that sounds really weird, but those are a few of my silver linings, and I really do suggest that you find that one or those two silver linings or bright sides to it, because it really does help you look forward and keep going. So some things that you may experience after your loss are social withdrawal. So you don't really want to be around anybody. You don't really want to talk to anybody. You kind of just want to keep to yourself. Another thing is you're having trouble thinking and concentrating. You have a loss of appetite. You have trouble sleeping. You feel tired or weak often. You're feeling depressed. You have dreams of the deceased. So either hallucinations or visions of your loved one. Loss of weight, becomes preoccupied with death or events surrounding death. So you search for reasons for the loss, or you try to find reasons why you lost a loved one or why they passed away. So you dwell on mistakes, either real or imagined, that you made with your loved one. So things like arguments or something that you shouldn't have said. You feel guilty for the loss, so you feel like the loss is your fault. You feel alone or distant from others, and you express anger or envy towards people with their loved ones. So I specifically have experienced pretty much every single one of these. I have 3 that I'm going to talk about though. So I have had many dreams with my mom, what I call experiences, and again, I am going to do a video on that. I'm not really sure when, but I will talk about my experiences that I've had with my mom since she's passed away. And I have definitely expressed anger or envy towards people with their loved ones. So if I am feeling down that day and I see a mother and daughter enjoying time together at the grocery store or shopping in the mall or posting pictures, somebody post a picture on Facebook or Instagram of them and their mom or whatever, there are days where it really does affect me and it really does upset me, and I get very angry that I don't get to have that anymore, that I don't get to see my mom every day or hear her voice or hug her or talk to her or cry with her when I need to. And I, like I said, have definitely experienced the anger towards other people for that, especially when somebody talks down on their parents when they're lucky to even have them still, because I don't get to have them. And when people talk down, I guess especially on their moms, but with either parent, I do typically get upset because, again, they should just feel lucky to have them. So I've definitely experienced those the most. Another tip that I have for you guys, and I always do this, but when life gets really hard, I typically think, what would my mom want me to do? What would my mom say? And so for you guys, just thinking like, what would this loved one say? What would they think? What would they want me to do? What would they tell me to do? What would they say? Things like that. With this, whenever I get really, really depressed and whenever I do start to have those suicidal thoughts or things like that, I definitely do think my mom wouldn't want me to be thinking this. My mom would want me to be happy. My mom would want me to fight through it. My mom wouldn't want me to die. My mom would want me to, keep going with my life and things like that. And it truly does help because I want to live my life for my mom. I mean, me as well, but I'm living my life for my mom as well as myself. And again, I kind of think, whether you believe in higher powers or not, I do believe that our loved ones that have passed away are still with us. I think that they are with us at all times, and I think mentally at least, because when you are having a really bad day or you just don't know where you're gonna go in life, your loved one, they inspire us, they push us, they make us keep fighting, and they're always there. They push us to do better and more, and they just push us to be a better us, and if they weren't here, we wouldn't feel those things. All right, I don't want to make this video too long, so I am going to start to wrap it up. But I do have a couple more points. So death has a funny way of making us live more. And by that I mean our senses are heightened. We are more aware of our surroundings. We find a new respect for life, and we process things really different after we lose a loved one. And it, like I said, it truly makes us live more. It makes us live to the fullest. I also want to say that because of the loss of my mom, I try to help as many people as I can. So I guess that could also be a silver lining. Without losing my mom, I don't think I would necessarily try to help as many people as I do. I'm always reaching out to somebody and making sure they're okay. Again, the reason for my YouTube channel, I'm trying to help people, and again, if I can just help one person, it makes all the world of a difference. And my last thing I have to say is to be nice to people. You never know what somebody is going through. You never know what they're dealing with. You have no idea, and just truly try and be nice to people no matter what. Even if you're having a bad day, they're giving you attitude, they're being mean, you just have to think about that you really don't know what they're going through. You have no idea what happened that morning, last week, last month, that could be causing them to lash out at somebody or have a bad day. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope there were a few good tips to help you guys get through the grieving process. Don't forget to like this video, comment down below, subscribe to my channel, and hit the little post notifications bell so that you guys can be notified the next time that I post a video. Again, I do post on Wednesdays and Sundays. Now that I am getting a little bit better with editing and managing my time on YouTube, I will hopefully soon be going up to 3 videos a week, or maybe 3 videos one week, 2 videos the next week. But I do want to start pushing out a little bit more content because I do have a lot of really good ideas and a lot of videos that I want to get out to you guys. So again, thank you all for watching. Thank you to all my new subscribers. I love you guys so much, and I will see you all on Sunday. Bye. Or in I'm so tired. What is my hair doing? Oh my god, I need to wake up. Did I like burn my hair or something? Like, what is that? What is that? Why is this tooth? Like, I really don't understand, like, what is going on here. Are you kidding me? Can you not do that right now? Seriously. Something. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Oh my god, what the heck?